Okay, today's documentary is not an abandoned place, but it's sort of a nostalgic thing for me because I'm in Tampa today, and this is again North Tampa. I think we're off of Hillsborough Avenue. I'm not really sure, around 56th Avenue in Hillsborough or something like that. Anyway, this is still considered like the North Tampa Temple Terrace area. And I'm staring at this sign because this is sign says Net Park at Tampa Bay. That's the sign now. But a long, long time ago, way back, about 30, 40 years ago, this was called East Lake Square Mall. East Lake Mall, that's what this was called. And I drove around today, and it just kind of weird to me, of course things change and cities change all the time, and especially in 30 years, but I find that this is one of the reasons why I suspect that malls are not going to make it into the future, because this net park is sort of a good example of how malls are failing all over the country, not just in this city. And I have a lot of reasons for why I believe that malls just don't make it anymore. One of the reasons is because of the prices of the things that are sold at malls. At this new next generation into the future is really very frugal, very money minded as far as trying to not spend a lot of money on unnecessary items. We really just don't care about your Gucci purse. Um, so I think this is why the East Lake Mall no longer exists. It was in an area of middle class to blue collar worker type people, and I don't really think they really cared about mall prices or the frou frou stuff. So, 30 years ago it was a mall, and now it's Net Park, and we're going to take a little driving tour of what the mall the building still looks the same, but now it is basically a building of offices, and which in any usually in any big downtown area you see the tall skyscrapers that are office buildings, but now I'm noticing more and more around various cities that office buildings don't always look like skyscrapers. Now office buildings look like old malls and or warehouses that were, reformed into office buildings. And I just kind of find that odd and peculiar because everybody's working from home anyway, so I don't know why we need so many office buildings, but let's take a driving tour of the old East Lake Mall. As you can see, the landscaping is still very, very nice. And that's the building over there, but we're going to take a tour, a driving tour. So let's just take a little driving tour of what was once East Lake Mall. Okay, so this is just some extra parking. They paved Paradise and put up a parking lot for a mall about 30 or 40 years ago. And 30 or 40 years ago, this was a very, very popular mall. I used to come here when we lived in a suburb about 20 minutes away, and this was one of the closest malls that we could get to at the time, because in the suburban neighborhood that I lived in, it was mostly orange groves, schools, and little plazas, but we didn't have a mall in Brandon at the time. Now Brandon does have a mall, but it's also not doing as well as it was predicted to do. So let's just take a little driving tour. Okay, you can see it's got really this well, now it's an office park. It's all offices, and so there's various businesses in that building now, not like shops, not like shops at a mall. But anyway, you can see the landscaping still looks really nice. See, trees and shrubs, they're still very nice. That's an entrance way into the mall, and we're just gonna drive through this basic drive. You know how malls have basically like the little road that goes around the mall, and everything, all the construction and architecture is still the same, the original architecture and roads and structure of this mall. Now I'm gonna go here because I find this to be really interesting. I don't know if you've ever noticed that some of the schools, elementary schools and high schools, they some of them borrowed the same architectural designs. I know that like Bloomingdale High School, and there was a high school in Carrollwood, I think off of Dale Mabry or something, that they had the same architectural scheme used for their building. Well, that was also true of malls, and this is really sort of kind of like Twilight Zone doo 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 doo, or deja vu, because see that architecture there, that was also used at a mall in New Jersey that I used to go to. Same type of architecture. I think it's kind of cool. It's it makes me think that that design was made in the late 70s, early 80s. So you can see how old that this architecture would be, because I believe that that was an architectural scheme that came from the late 70s and early 80s. But it's pretty cool, and that was like, hey, we're at the mall, you know? But it's no longer a mall. It is now office buildings. I guess the golf cart driver works for the office leasing people, and and this was probably like you know, I don't know, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, or God knows what other kind of store that was an entrance to, some kind of fashionista store, but it's not there anymore. Again, you can see it has really great architecture. It's the same exact uh, driving pattern and same exact architectural scheme as the original. Nothing's changed as far as the building goes, except for the contents of the building. It is no longer a mall. I'm really impressed at how well the whoever took this property over, the office people, how nice they've kept the landscaping. The landscaping is really, really well done, and I just think that that's kind of impressive. Sorry, I'm trying to uh, handle some issues here while I'm filming. So let's just continue this tour, and we'll just look at what an old mall became. For me, it's kind of sad because, well, 30 years ago when I used to enjoy this as a mall, you know, it was a really cool hangout place. And there's not a lot of malls in the Tampa Bay area. You have a big mall in Brandon. There's a big mall in, well, there's two big malls in Pinellas County. My favorite is Countryside, which is in the Dunedin area. But in Tampa, there's not that many malls. And another mall in the North Tampa area that didn't make it was University Mall, which was off of Fowler Avenue near USF, where I attended college, and that also is gone. They actually leveled that out. I guess something was wrong with the architecture, but they actually leveled that out. Now, I don't really remember this, so this might have been an update. But you can see that the architecture is pretty cool looking, and they kind of kept it sort of in the same style as that other frame I showed you. That's pretty cool architecture, but honestly, I don't remember this this part of the architecture, so it might have been an update while I wasn't paying attention. It's pretty cool brickwork there. Again, you can see all the fine architecture. And it's nice. They have like little stone picnic tables. I think that's cute. Yeah, see, I think that might have been an update. I don't remember that part. I mean, I used to come to this mall 30 years ago, and but that architecture I don't remember. So I guess whenever that store closed and updates were made, that was part of the architecture that was updated. Kind of cool though. Anyway, so that's, I mean, I can keep going around the mall, but it's basically the typical and same architecture as it was 30 years ago with a few updates. Look at how cool that was. Nice little staircase and a little field. And back there, there's like lots of woods. Now, this is really interesting to me. I'm going to show you one of the things that I noticed that's, I think, very interesting about this location and these changes. It's so pretty. That is so pretty. Okay, we're going to go over here. Now, this is really, really interesting. Check this out. This is a major bus station we're coming upon. And I always knew that the East Lake Square Mall, now called Net Park, which is not a mall, I always knew that it had a major bus station. But this is an update in the past 30 years because even though this was a major bus stop and this was to me this is progress because this station did not exist 20 years or 30 years ago. So somewhere in the last 20 years this station was made, and I think that's a major improvement. But the sad part to me is that, oh, there goes a bus. The sad part to me about it is that most people probably utilizing this bus station are probably doing so because there is no mall here. And so they're probably using this to either get to another mall, and which is probably quite a distance, or just because in this area there's no other major bus station. So I think the most significant thing that has happened to this mall is actually this bus station. Pretty cool, and it's a nice bus station. And that's pretty much it. It concludes our tour of what once was the East Lake Square Mall and is now Net Park, just a place to have an office if you don't like using your computer at home. Uh, I find it a little bit sad. The nostalgic part of me just finds it a little bit sad that this mall no longer exists, especially in Tampa, because, like I said, in Tampa, there's really not a lot of malls, and Tampa's a pretty big city. So I don't know. I guess as we go into the future, our frou-frou spirit is becoming less and less.